Welcome to Tom Strong Reviews. In this video we have the Transformers Bumblebee by DLX, ThreeA and ThreeA. This is Hasbro licensed and is the figure and style from the Bumblebee film from 2018, which actually I thought was quite a good movie. I hope you enjoy my video. A quick spin of the box. Really nice subtle artwork. No details or images of the actual model, but the box has a flip open hinge, as I'll show in a minute, and that by far is the best way of showing things. As you can see, all fully licensed by Hasbro. You've got all the various details in the back there, including the fact you need batteries. Just one last thing, check you've got something authentic here. On the very bottom there's a hologram, ThreeA authentic hologram there, which I think is something that anyone should look out for before purchasing one of these, because boxes are easy to copy and the top's very simple as well. As I mentioned, it has an openable hinge, so I'm going to have to just swing it around a little bit so I don't hit the camera. Now, because it's all behind plastic, it's going to be very reflective. So of course I'm going to get this out of the box, but just to give you a quick idea, you get to see everything inside the box. And on the left hand side there, you can see that inside the flap you've got a really nice Bumblebee DLX Transformers Bumblebee. And there we go. Well, let's get the insides out. Okay, everything is held in place, so getting it out of the box is safe, but you're going to make some noise, like I am, to get the figure out. Brilliant. So it's really gripped in just above the Bumblebee figure itself. Very, very snug, so none of these bits can come out, but there they are. They're now available. Obviously the main figure in the middle. I'm going to just carry on and get the rest out. Lifting him out, he's in his own bag with a bit of foam protecting his head. It's lovely. Feels really heavy. You can tell there's a die-cast metal core. There's also a base to this, so I'm going to be a little bit careful as I do it layer by layer. I'm going to just get out each piece. Doesn't matter for now where I put them. There's obviously multiple hands. Now they're fixed positional hands, so there's no articulation in the hands. Although there is 55 points of articulation to the figure overall, so it's a great, for an 8-inch scale model, this has got a lot of articulation. I'm really looking forward to doing some poses with this. And the bottom layer, gripped on the same way with pinch point plastic. Here we have Transformers instruction manual and a ThreeA warranty sheet with registration details in case there's any issues or parts missing. We have another layer of plastic here. These two sheets are really snug together. Actually having problems getting my fingers in. There we go. Run that around. There we go. And there we have a very clever, beautifully dark grey stand. Lots of heights to that. I'm going to look at. It's going to be interesting to use. That looks great. And a plinth base, whatever you want to call it. And again, all in bags. So we're going to have a look at all of these and get them all up the bags, and of course zoom in on all the figures. But that is a quick, if messy and noisy, unboxing. Okay, me and B127 having fun. Just popped off his head, one of the heads, and the top also then pops off, which will reveal inside a battery compartment which holds two AG13 batteries, or thank you Bumblebee, LR44s, also known as A76V13GA. You can test that this is working before you can put them back in, because of course the button is a push through, and you can see there the blue lights coming on beautifully. It'll obviously look better inside the head. The batteries are not included. Same idea on both. You just press the badge on the forehead. You can see lights going on and off. Same again on battle mode head. The action display stand is brilliant, so you can angle this. There's a catch mechanism to do the angle, and then when you got at the angle you wish, you just kind of slide this little hinge here and it locks it in place, so there's no way that's going to move. And this upper part goes up and down. Again, there's a little trigger on the end here, and you can shorten it or lengthen it. Again, let go and it becomes solid. And this very end piece pops out, and it's a geared system, so you slide it in to the angle you wish, and that is then locked in place, let's say. And how does it attach to Bumblebee? Well, sorry Bumblebee, there's a little hidden cover right down on the, let's call it the tailbone of the transformer, and you remove this lug, and you can now see a nice solid metal square socket onto which you can slide your figure, and it's as simple as that. I'm going to just lower it a little bit. Now, you wouldn't normally raise or lower the stand with your figure in place, but I'm going to do it just to bring it all back into shot. There we go, so he's at the lowest position now. In fact, let's go up just one so you can see the strength of the click. Okay, so here we have, and as you can see, lovely grey, nice and dark. I think it works really well. It blends into the background, let's say. It really allows for some dynamic takeoff, jumping kind of poses. So if we just get a little bit more going on here, where we've got, of course, Bumblebee having to jump up to do a reach shot. Let's get him somehow. There we go, a little bit like this. Let's get his torso twisting that way. Let's make sure the jump looks good. Really easy to do all this positioning. It feels natural, even on the stand, to just get all the angles you're after. Make sure you've got the feet just how you want them, whether maybe that was just bent because it was just jumping, maybe the other side is now pointing, toes down. You can decide, get everything in the position you wish, get all the flaps where you want, the shoulder pieces where you want. Now I'm going to have it looking kind of into the camera, and then I'm going to just get the gun arm. Oh, I can't have one antenna up, one down. Sorry, Bumblebee. Let's get his antenna right. Now let's start to point at the camera. Let's get this arm down a little bit. He's jumping, so a little bit of action going on here. Shoulder is in a good place. And okay, it's down the gun barrel, so you don't get to see the right arm a great deal, but that is a really simple shot. Let's just get his, let's actually put a fist on here. Let's make sure I get the right fist, as it were. And we can maybe have a little bit of a punching as he's trying to get away. Very action-y kind of maneuver going on there, because he kind of just did a big jump up. There we go. So very easy to pose even on the stand, and I really like this stand, so I'm going to use it quite a lot. Just going to quickly rotate. As you can see, the figure is totally free from the stand. There's a bit of hip wiggle. I'm going to just move the leg out, so it's now a little bit of a goofy jump, but as you can see, really free from the stand and securely held in place. And I think this is what you need. This is this trusty kind of clicking, height adjustable, angle adjustable. Now there is an absolute limit, so you've got to consider like a crane. There comes a point when you've got too much weight going forward and it could tilt, but it's almost impossible to do. You've got to have every arm and every leg pointing out forwards. And if you're going to do that at max height, you might have a tendency for this to tilt, but I've found all normal, reasonable angles perfect and no issue at all. Great dynamic pose base. Whilst I've got Bumblebee's Stinger Blaster arm on, I've obviously got his right arm free for me to have a good look at and to show you. So it's very, very well detailed, as you can imagine. There's no aspect that isn't painted. And I'm going to just go into the hands and the wrists. So there's quite a few hands, there's 3 hands. There's a kind of relaxed position, there's the open position and the fist position. And all of them have, of course, the yellow back armor knuckle protector. Now they're on a ball joint, so there's both directions as well as swivel. Now the swivel, because you've got the back knuckle yellow armor, you need to just be careful that you're aligning it over the top of the forearm armor there. But as you can see, you've actually got, you can rotate them fully if you get the angles correct, and in certain places you can certainly go down. But you want to be a little bit careful because you obviously don't want to be rubbing the ends here together too much. You get a nice solid click. Now the actual hands themselves have got a little bit of play, so these are actually really quite rubbery. So whilst all the rest is hard plastic, apart from the metal parts, and there's a lot of metal in this, the hands, the fingers and the thumb, there's a bit of give, which particularly I think is useful on things like the splayed hands, because if you're doing a push-off launch or a landing, you might just find a slight little extra adjustment and you get a very snug finger pads to the ground effect. Let's just pop this on. I'm going to use my hand here, but you can imagine there you've got a Bumblebee pressing down on the ground to push himself off or to settle down. Really nicely done. So the hands are great, easy on and off, and that's because the hands are themselves, all this grey plastic is this soft, givable, let's say it's got some give, where the rest is the harder ABS plastic. And although they've glued the ABS yellow plastic onto the back, it works really well. It's solid, I've had no issue. And like I say, really full degree of movement. You're playing there, you've got some nice wobble, wiggle room, twist room. Very good indeed. Happy with that. Here's quite a just falling to the ground dynamic pose, where his right arm, using the splayed hand, is nice and flat to the surface. I'm just going to actually fold that in a little bit now I've got things how I want them. You can see his left leg with all the extra angles going on there, so his ankle actually touches down. I've got his right leg with the rear hip position going on, so that only his toe boot is on the ground, but it really is absolutely enough. And if you were falling like and twisting like poor Bumblebee is here, or trying to get up, I think that's not a bad way of starting. And there he is, looking and guarding from whatever might be coming towards him. Okay, plenty of articulation and movable parts to allow the articulation. So the shoulder, although it moves up and down, what you also want to do is to move out this protector pad here. So when you do raised above arm, yes, fist bump to the air, you don't have any issues with it touching or scratching or grinding anywhere. And of course that all goes back in again. So you've got a really good mobility on the shoulder, very good. Elbow, obviously below the elbow you've got the twist joint on the forearm, and as I've gone through in detail, the hands, full swivel as well. Now you've got these two grey sides here near the armoured rear forearm part that you need to be a little bit careful of before you then go for an arm bend, because you want to just be sure that you're not impinging on anything here. And again with the shoulder, so before you make your showing off your muscles there, you just need to make sure you've decided what you're going to do with that shoulder guard, whether you're going to have it out proud or whether you're going to have it in tight, so that you can ensure it's where you want it and isn't pinching at all. And as you can see, up works really well, but you can have it out and across, but you need to be a little bit more careful if you then rotate, because there's an upper below the shoulder joint, of course there's an upper arm rotator as well. So a little bit of care with the shoulder. You've got something similar going on with the chest, so of course you can guard his face a little bit more using his headlamp front bumper and bonnet. I know it's a boot, but I'm going to call it a bonnet cover. VW car Beetles have the engines in the boot famously. And there's a bit of motion around here, both to do the action that you want around the face, but also it allows for freer arm movement. So if I wanted to have the arm go up, I can of course move that completely out of the way, and I can bend, as you can see, completely to guard his face. And you might want to tuck in the shoulder armor, but as you can see, even from behind, that looks quite good. And of course, Bumblebee can be ducking his head to be protected with his left arm there. So there's really very good mobility with the arms. Excellent. Both arms are the same, of course, except for the right arm, which has the removable elbow joint. So I'm going to just pull that off. Now, when I say pull that off, you kind of, it is a pinch joint, so you're kind of pulling from the elbow. You're going to hold the whole front arm, and you're just pulling the actual gun itself off. So that just comes off and is free. Now, there is actually a removable part to it, and there's a screw there, so this isn't meant to come off, but if it does come off, don't worry, it's just how it is. But absolutely, there's then no hingeable joints and nothing there twist. So that is, his gun arm is fixed. So that Stinger blaster, as you can imagine, doing the damage forwards is as is. Popping on the right arm. Now you've got to be a little bit careful because, and it came off whilst I was doing this, you've got a ring protector, and it kind of hides the mechanism a little bit on the actual elbow itself. And as you can see on the left arm, which doesn't come off, you can see that it's just there. So I'm going to just again angle it the correct way round, slide it on the elbow joint, keep it out the way, and then gently slide on the arm. I've not got it on fully yet, so being careful of these elbow protrusions, as I mentioned earlier. You've got to be a little bit careful of those around the elbow joint. Now, it's a natural arm movement, so it's not that it's ever in your way. You know, you absolutely can put the arm and the elbow joint exactly where you want, but because you've got these extra twist movements, when you're twisting that, you've got to be a little bit careful because you can actually go into the elbow joint hinge mechanism itself. But again, there's the right arm, no problem at all. Chest area. Now I'm going to do this from behind because you can kind of see it a little bit easier. So we've talked about the small doors here. You can see where the mechanism to twist is. So he's got a real upper body torso twist going on here. And again, really good, you know, as in all the way around, kind of good. I'm watching from behind just to make sure that these hip shield protector areas don't touch or interfere with the wings, and they haven't done, so that was quite nice. Of course, if you had them out and or flanged, they would be, so you've got to be a little bit careful again with what you're doing with the thigh shield pieces here as well. Let's get the guy's arms up out the way a little bit. So we've got some really nice kind of left right wiggle. So you've got a nice upper hip area torso twisting going on, and then of course going to his legs, you've got all kinds of motion going on here. So you've got really very good full crazy degree. I mean, that's, I don't know, I think that's damaged myself if Bumblebee actually does that in the movie. I don't remember that scene, but absolutely you want a nice high kick, and you can absolutely do that. So you can absolutely get that out to the front horizontal, which is good. And of course, if you're doing some flying jumps, you're more advanced than I am. But you can absolutely bend the knee joint I absolutely love. You can bend it completely tight. The ankle has got some right left pivot, as well as of course up down. And if I just lift this part here out the way, I can then of course do the toe, the mid-foot bend, to get a really nice shape. And of course you can then pop that back in place to make everything look just so. So you can really have Bumblebee hunkered down. Can I do this quickly or not? I probably can't, but you can have him really hunkered down and ready to do a jump, maybe on his toes, bundled up in a ball almost. Now it isn't a transforming robot. You know, however much folding and bending you do, you're not going to get him to suddenly turn into a VW Beetle, but he certainly can squash himself down into any kind of house scene that you need. and or sit on anything you need them to, and of course be restful if not asleep. The legs splay. Let me just do the crazy ballet splits going on here. So I'm going to straighten those legs a little bit now because it accentuates the flexibility of the hip and ball joints going on here. So I can quite, oops, I should have done that beforehand. Now a lot of these parts that do need to move, the shoulder parts and the hip protectors, they're much thinner plastic and they really are easy to move. So although this big thigh muscle here is solid metal, and you've got to be a little bit careful because you don't want to be damaging your figure as you open things up and close things up. You've pretty much got full splits. Let me just do the torso twist, and there you have Bumblebee doing the splits, which absolutely, again, isn't quite the action pose you'd normally see him in, but it gives you a good idea of the very, very good full range of motion. And again, I keep seem to knocking one of the antenna down, and I've got this kind of symmetry thing with his antennas. Okay, let's fully get him out of battle position, and I'm going to switch the doors, and of course the head, which just is the easiest because he just pops off. And of course I've already got the other one already lit. I've just pressed his forehead, so of course his lights went off. So there we go, back on again. Now let's get him looking half decent and upright. Okay, so removing the small folded doors is actually a little bit difficult. So I've taken one off. Obviously there's quite a bit of play still. And it really is a matter of being very careful and grabbing just the grey stud of plastic that the metal pin is attached to. You've really got to be careful and not be tempted to just grab the door and yank. That is not going to be very good for your model at all. Now the larger doors, well, in fact, let's just take a moment. Let's have a look at this back. This is a beautiful back. Now, okay, the studs are going to be covered by the door. It's just lovely the way that all this metal work overlaps, and you can hardly see the torso join until you do a really big twist. And then, even then, it's very neat. The way it kind of fits underneath with the yellow body parts of the car just work really, really well, and I love that. And it's all hidden, so you know, I thought it's worth you having a good look at one of the, again, the most beautiful parts of the car that you hardly ever see because the car doors cover it so well. So, oops, I didn't do that one too well. Let me just fold that one out of the way a minute. So you just got to line up the pins, and I wasn't doing a very good job of that. So lining it up with the socket that it goes into, there we go, that's much better. So the doors don't just swivel on the metal pin, they actually have the ability to swivel within the mechanism as well. So there's kind of a double swiveling option here for the doors, so you can really do high and slight angle changes because you've got this pivot point. Okay, again, they slightly fold and can touch, so you've got to be a little bit careful, but that is how the doors can look from the side. And of course, if you had it flying head on to you almost, as it were, let's just get Bumblebee's head looking up. Oops, trying not to pop off. Now the neck itself, as I got the head off, as you can see, the neck itself has another ball joint, so it's a double ball joint, and of course you pop the head onto that, and there's enough motion there. He's mostly good at looking down, so he looks down on his chest, very good down there, not such a good up because of all the business going on around his shoulders with the tyres and the doors. But there he is with his doors out, looking as big and as fearsome as he can, or as cute and friendly as you want him to be. The legs also have a bit of twist rotation within, so you can actually twist the whole leg. Yeah, so you can just see that. So let me get the yellow protector out the way. There we go, you can see a rotation, so not only has it got full movement, there's also just enough of a twist there. And that thigh rotation just helps when you're trying to get a kind of slightly angled leg trying to do a bit of a walk. And there you go, kind of what you can do quite easily. Let me get his feet flat for you. I've got the left knee bent and the right knee. I'm kind of dragging back and again using the angle on the foot. As you can see, both feet are solidly on the ground. But you've got 1 foot and leg this orientation and 1 foot and leg that orientation to make a more natural stance for the feet. I know the upper body isn't at all posed, but let's just get his arms out of the way for now. So we're looking at most of what you can do with the hips and the legs here. And as you can see, the left knee is just slightly bent and there's a bit of rotation going on here down on the right foot to again get the foot shoe or his boot, let's say, flat on the ground. So it really is a lot of subtle play on the joints you've got around here. You really can do a lot with the legs, which is something that some of the smaller models, this is an 8-inch, some of the 6-inch and 8-inch models don't do this as well. They've done a really good job here. And the doors, of course, you can have them folded down again. Now, personally, I prefer the folded wing doors on the figure. However, I do like to see the back, and I think because these go up so well, it depends on very much what part of the figure you're featuring with your display. Whether you want wings open, door wings open or closed, but I think folded is the normal way I'd have it. It looks a little bit more natural. Just my view. Okay, I'm going to just focus a little bit more on the hips and torso. So you've got to watch a little bit carefully because the movement's subtle. So we've got this metal area here, and we've got the under chest area. And I've already shown that the upper shoulder chest part rotates. You've also got a lower part here where the engine mechanism is, also twists. But there's not a great deal of lower, let's call it stomach line, abdomen twist going on at all. It's very subtle. And it does have a slight movement, and it does help with the chest torso twisting, which is the main area that you've got also a bend. You can do crunches, and now you can see as I'm bringing it back, there's also more engine exposed because the lower part, the abdomen part, as well as the stomach, chest, shoulder part do have a bit of flex, and it's subtle, which is why I'm doing this really closed up. But it does make the difference. I've kind of got a snake system going on here where he's got his shoulders and chest hunkered back on his stomach, abdomen, and he's showing off his 6-cylinder pack, let's call it. Also, he has not got a 6-cylinder pack. It's a very simple car engine. Really nice detail. No matter how much you flex and bend, everything you can see is all painted and gorgeous. So even the center part of the bonnet that doesn't move, really good. There's no problem anywhere with anything that you shouldn't see being seen. And if I can just now get him to a quick ballerina pose, I think distance. Okay, to the camera. He likes camera looking as well, of course. And there you have Bumblebee gracefully ending. Certainly completely different to when he's got his Stinger blaster in tail. So here we have an 8-inch posable DLX collectible figure, DLX scale, so 8-inch, just over 20 1/3 centimeters. Tall. It's die cast metal. It has a steel frame core and quite a lot of the legs and body parts. Mostly the shiny grey parts are all steel. There's also ABS plastic as well, mostly the yellow, but not all of the yellow body shell. and these wheels, the tyres, they do spin. They will spin if you really want them to. You can really get some quite emotive and as well as action poses out of this Bumblebee. Really good, very pleased. For $155, £130, I think this is fantastic. This DLX scale is perfect for me. 8 inches is about right, fits in with other items I've got on my shelving units. With all the points of articulation, all 55 of them, it makes posing this figure really beautiful, very easy, very straightforward, and I'm really glad I paid for this. It's quite new. This is June 2020, and there are other figures I've had my eye on before, but this one, for the price point and all the features and style, and the fact I actually liked the 2018 Bumblebee film, made me really want to get this particular model, and I'm really glad I did. 3A DLX done a really good job. Well done. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video. Please feel free to like, subscribe and comment. I try to answer all questions left on my videos.